This is not a test. This is reality.
It's the weekend, and we are going beyond the strange with host Dave Cruz on Spaced Out Saturday Nights.
Dave's the killer! Yeah! Dave's the killer! Dave's a mess.
When the clocks, they never stop, they barricade my face.
You can follow Dave on Twitter at StrangeDave70. Hit him up on Skype, Strange Days 2015. And you can follow Dave on our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Things are gray. I push until I break. I feel them start to scrape. The core of all I am is chiseling away. And every speck of life is gonna rot away in time. We turn to mud or turn to stone into grand design. A maze of petrified hearts and I'm lost inside. We all self-destruct, love is to deny.
The probability is low, but the discoveries of the Kepler mission suggest that there are billions of habitable planets in our galaxy alone. And there are at least 100 billion galaxies in the visible universe. So it seems likely that there are others out there.
Now, get your tinfoil hats on tight as Spaced Out Saturday with Dave Cruz begins right now.
You're here to turn me inside out and then turn me away. For all my life I choke on clouds of savior smoke until my blackened soul was burning away. And every speck of light is gonna rot away in time. Return to mud or turn to stone, it's a grand design. A maze of petrified hearts and I'm lost inside. We all self-destruct and love is to deny.
Hola, everyone. Welcome to Spaced Out Saturday Night. I am your host, Dave Cruz, and that shouldn't be doing that for whatever reason it's doing it for anyway. Nice to be here with y'all tonight on this Saturday, August 26th. Sunday, August 27th. If you're on the East Coast, we are live here on the West Coast from the Napa Valley wine country, just outside the mysterious Sonoma Mountains. Join us now as we will be here every Saturday night, coming to you live. Let's welcome in everyone listening on our terrestrial stations, WQEE 99 Rock, the Key in Newman, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live on spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, and on Revolution Radio. Remember, the Double R Machine is a donation station funded by you, the valued listeners. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Like our music, then rock with us to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. Bumblefoot is the official sound of SOR. Also, you can check us out on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at StrangeDave70. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Tune us in on TuneIn, or download our shows from iTunes. We are also on Radio Guide FM, TalkStream Live, and on Stitcher. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. And if you go to patreon.com, for as low as $1 a month, you can become a patron of Spaced Out Radio. If you want to take part in the show, sign into one of our chat rooms on our website by clicking Listen Live on Revolution Radio, on Spreaker, on the UPRN chat room, and on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Club. Or if you're on Twitter, just go to the hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and I will get your questions in there as well. If you head over to our website for just $5 a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. And as of right now, you can go to Spaced Out Radio store and pick up a t-shirt, poster, or an SOR sticker. We have the Encounter online that deals with everything paranormal, courtesy of our editors, Eric Markham and Everett Thiemer. You can join, you can check out Dave Scott's latest blog there as well. And if you have an experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Tim Doyle from the UFO Seekers and Leslie Mitchell Clark's Contact TV also have some great video viewing there as well. And for everyone who's listening right now, if you are up to date on the Hurricane Harvey, it has escalated. And it is very, very sad indeed, because as of right now, it has become a tropical storm. It's right there in the Gulf of Mexico, and it was a Category 4, started in about 9:45 p.m. Friday, just northeast of Corpus Christi, and Texas, of course, started packing 130 miles per hour winds. There was also a single storm related death as reported on Saturday in Rockport, Texas. The list goes on and on with this unfortunate event, tropical event. And I just want to say right now to all of those who are out there in Texas, hang on, hold on to your hope, and you'll get through this. Just get through this. We are thinking about you, and with lots of love. We really hope that everything turns out okay, and just sending as much positive vibes as we can. So hopefully everyone out there who's listening, please put in some thoughts, some prayers, if you will, for the people in Texas, that they can get through this storm. All right. Vanessa Hogle has been involved with the paranormal since she was a little girl, having her first visitation at 2 years. This made for quite a difficult childhood, so she blocked as much as she could from the age of 13 till she was in her 30s, when she finally stepped out of the broom closet. Since then, she has been a reoccurring guest on numerous radio and YouTube shows, has been a co-host on her own radio show, Edge of the Rabbit Hole, which is now a successful YouTube show, been published in 6 books, 3 of which are her own parabiographies, and consulted on Animal Planet's The Haunted Leave or Die episode. She is a remote viewer with credits to teams all over the world, as well as on-site investigator when travel time allows it, of course. Her blog is at hottamalered.blogspot.com. So everyone, please help me welcome Miss Vanessa Hogle. Vanessa, how are you doing tonight?
I am just dandy. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm jacked up tonight, ready to go. I'm like 2 steps ahead of myself, unfortunately.
That, you know what? It's better than being 2 steps behind.
That's what I say.
Yeah, so we'll take it. We'll take it. I've got my soda and my cigarettes, so we're all good.
That's there you go. That's what I'm talking about. So anyways, yeah, I don't like throwing out the bad news, but people got to really understand that this hurricane is just horrific, and
Now, my brother and his wife and my nephew live in Katy, Texas, which is 30 minutes outside of Houston. So I'm right there with you. Everybody needs to realize how bad it is. I've got very dear friends that live down there as well, that are actually in the harsher affected areas too. So it's been a rough few days wondering how everybody's doing.
Yeah, I have lots of family also in the San Antonio, Houston, Corpus Christi, Mineral Wells area.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, so I have family all over the place. So yeah, it's definitely something that we are very worried about. We're keeping in touch with our families, Facebook, Twitter, all social media, of course, as well as talking to them through the phone, doing our best to get a hold of them. So we're thinking about them.
Exactly.
But on to our show tonight, because I want to. You've been on this show many times. This is obviously our first time that we've talked on the air. But I have, like we talked about earlier, have noticed that you've been busy.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I get, hey, Dave, I get long-winded. So if I start talking and you need me to shut up, you just say, Vanessa, shut up.
I wouldn't do that.
I guess it was about 3.5 years ago where I really came forward publicly, and started doing what I do. I'd done it behind the scenes for many years, but I came forward publicly. And it took about a year of really putting myself out there kind of gently, and testing myself and making sure that my skills were where they needed to be. I did that for about a year. So about 2.5 years ago, it really, truly just took off. And so honestly, everything that you were able to find on the internet, everything is literally within the last 3.5 years. And it's a lot.
That's a lot. Well, let's go back even farther. When did you start realizing that you had these gifts, and how did it affect you growing up with your family, with your friends? Did you have anybody come down on you? Well, let's just start with, how did it all begin?
It all began as long back as I can remember. I don't ever remember not being this way. I just don't. This has been my entire life. My first memory would be, after my grandma passed. And she and I shared the same birthday. I was born March 14th, 1972, as was she, just a different year. And I think she was born in 1911, I think. And she died February 5th, 1974, before my second birthday. And she came to me after she passed. So, quite a bit. But it wasn't just her. Like I've said this on many shows, I was very lucky. I was very lucky that my first experience was a loving one, because not everybody has that privilege. But that's the first one I can remember, and it was a good one. So I didn't have fear of it at that time that I can recall. None of that bothered me until I hit about 6, maybe it was 6, I think. Keep in mind, I'm 45. It's been a minute ago. And my mom and my parents were divorced. And my mom and I were going to get a little rental house that was closer to her relatives so that there would be people to help take care of me. And I remember, I want to say we lived in King Village Apartments back in Alabama. And we were getting up and getting ready to go look at this little house. Nothing special. And she's like, okay, well, let's go. And I'm like, I don't want to go. And she's like, why don't you want to go? And I said, because he killed her in there. And And she's like, no. And keep in mind, this runs in my family. But just because it runs in my family doesn't mean we talked about it. Okay? Matter of fact, it was very taboo. You didn't talk about that stuff. I'm not the only one with gifts in my family. I just got a bigger helping. And that might be because I chose to accept it. But anyway, long story short, I'm 6. I've got to do what she says. So we get in the car. And the whole time I'm saying, I'm not going in. I'm not going in. You're not getting me in that house. So when we get there, she doesn't make me go in the house. When the realtor comes there to show it to her, she lets me stay outside. So I'm outside looking around, and a little bit later, maybe less than 10 minutes, her and the realtor just come shooting out the front door. And I said, what's going on? She goes, yeah, he killed her in there. Because the blood stains were still on the floor.
Oh.
They were still in the carpet in the bedroom. So, I mean, it was at that point that I knew it wasn't always going to be family coming to me who had passed, that it could be anybody. And that didn't even bother me.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't bother me. I was okay with that until I hit 13. And when I was 13, you want me to keep going? Or you want me to stop?
No,
okay.
Absolutely, please.
Let me light the cigarette. When I was 13, me and my friends were in a cemetery in Wichita, Kansas, because my parents had got back together, because, married, divorced, married, divorced, married, divorced. And they got back together at this time. This was a third marriage for both of them together. We moved to Wichita, and I was with 6 of my friends, so there's 7 of us. We're all 13, and it's on Halloween night. And we decide to do all those weird things that 13-year-old girls do, like put each other in trances and light as a feather, stiff as a board, and all that fun stuff. And I put I guess one of them had a seizure when I was doing that with her. And it was a bad one. And she didn't have seizures. They said that when she and I made eye contact, that the girls, I woke up to the girls slapping me, trying to wake me up, and I saw them pouring a big old huge cooler of sodas, full cans of sodas and ice all over this girl, trying to get her out of a seizure. And I said, what's going on? And they said, you didn't blink for 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
And that the girl that was there with me, we were the first ones to do it. They said she couldn't break eye contact with me, and that she went into a seizure. She had never had a history of seizures, never had a seizure before, didn't have a seizure after that I'm aware of. That was enough to scare me. And not just scare me. I mean, I became the freak after that. I became the scary girl. So that was when I said, no more. No more. I'm not going to do this. And so I blocked it all out as much as I could. And the messages and the images that did come in, I ignored them. And I did all of that until I was about 31, 32 years old.
That must have been really, really tough. I mean, that's...
Die a little inside every day.
Mm-hmm.
You really do. You become a shell of a person. You put on the smile. You make everybody happy. You do everything that you're supposed to do, as a person, as a friend, as a wife, but you're dying a little inside because you can't be who you're supposed to be. And it's an absolutely horrible feeling. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I succumbed to it. I put myself in that jail cell for, 19 years?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. And when I decided to finally come out, that door swung wide open and hit the wall behind it.
Sure.
It's been crazy ever since.
I can imagine. Jeez, Vanessa,
yeah.
that's a struggle. I mean, I really can't believe it, that you could, that's so tough. Did you happen to meet anyone along the way who was like you?
Yes.
Now, did that help?
Well, it's what pulled me out of the closet. My
Okay.
son was showing signs. My son was less than 2 years old when he was showing signs of being just like me.
Amazing.
He's the reason I stepped out of the closet. The only reason. And when I did that, because I couldn't let him grow up the same way I did, feeling like a freak, when I did that, when I went ahead and said, this is me, this is who I'm gonna be, it cost me a lot. It cost me, in a roundabout way, my marriage, which is fine because we're still good friends. We raise our son together. We're just not married. And we didn't need to be anymore anyway. I mean, he's a good person, but we just want different things out of life. But it cost me many friends. It cost me some family in the beginning. But choosing to go ahead and accept all this, it really did. It cost me more than I can say, but was worth it. Because I'm happy. Isn't that weird?
As long as you're happy, I think that's the most important part. And
But
now
though,
True. Very true. I wouldn't know because I don't exactly, I've never really experienced anything like what you told me, because that is intense. That's really heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's the thing is when you finally do decide to go ahead and acknowledge it,
Mm-hmm.
and allow those gifts to come forward, they waste no time in doing it. It's like someone turns on a lighthouse in the middle of the ocean,
Right.
and every boat known to man comes there, and that's what happened. It got me into some situations that were less than fun, because I have certain abilities and being used for that, being sought out for that for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Fell into the wrong hands with some. It's a big learning process. You really do have to learn who to trust. And
Right.
people will say, psychic, why don't you just know who to trust? Okay, it works that way, and it doesn't work that way. Because you might be psychic or whatever, but that doesn't mean you want to delve into every single person's brain that you meet. I mean, that first off, it's an invasion, and secondly, it takes a lot of energy. So excuse me, I just burped. So I'm one of those people where I'm like, you know what? You can do me wrong once, you won't do it twice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to delve into your head to see what kind of person you are. But if you prove to me that you're not a good person, you won't get my trust back, period. It won't happen.
That's interesting because I feel that way about mediums and mind readers, because I feel that there should be some sort of cosmic law that says you can't go into another person's head unless they say you can go into my head.
Agreed. I agree 100%. I don't want anybody delving into my chaotic mess up there, unless I give them permission, which I don't. I don't give anyone permission for that. That's why no one can read me.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people come they've kind of scaled the wall trying to do readings on me, but most of them just give up because they're like, yeah, we ain't getting there. We ain't getting anything. And I'm like, well, you're darn right you're not, because I've been burned so bad that it's really hard for me to knock those bricks down and let people in. But I won't invade people's privacy. And that goes on many levels. I've had people contact me and ask me to read somebody else. And I'm like, no. They can contact me if they want a reading. I'm not going to tell you about this other person, unless I think they're in danger. That's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
If I think they're in danger, I'll tell them why I think they're in danger, but I'm still not delving into the other person's head. There's ethics and morals and just a certain code of conduct that you should have when you can do these things. And a lot of people, they don't follow that. And it makes me really angry. Makes me real mad, to be honest.
Sure does. You know, it's interesting. Today was one of the first times I looked back at my past, because I've shared with people before. I feel that I'm part empathic. I don't know if that's a thing, but I've always had that ability to kind of tell when people are telling the truth, or if somebody's scared, or, you know, just kind of things like that. I catch vibes.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And, you know, I've done that thing where I've walked under like street lights and all of a sudden they just turn off for no reason. And then when I walk by, they turn back on. It's really bizarre. And I've always wondered why have I always been so attracted to all this weirdness that is going on, and all these different talk shows and programs and stuff. And I realized a while back ago that it's because I am weird and bizarre and strange. I never really thought about it until recently when I did my first investigation a couple of years ago. Right after I first started doing this show, I decided, okay, I'm going to go ghost hunting. That was not necessarily a mistake, but I wasn't really prepared for it.
Okay.
Especially learning that you're empathic right then and there.
Exactly. It's tough, isn't it?
It is. It is very... It stopped me in my tracks, is what it did. Mm-hmm. So... very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff.
I can understand that. I actually just did on my Facebook page, I just did a live feed the other day about, being empathic and how it relates, to teach people, are you feeling your feelings? Or are you feeling another living person's feelings? Or are you feeling a dead person's feelings? And it's really important when you go into an investigation to be able to distinguish between those three things. You need to be able to categorize, you need to be able to compartmentalize, you need to be able to separate them so that you know if what you're getting is information for the investigation, if what you're getting is something, a vibe from one of the other investigators. You need to know if you're carrying it in there yourself, because that can affect spirit communication and interaction, and that's one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize. I just did a case in Staten Island. Actually, let me backtrack 2 seconds here. I flew in to Jersey, drove to Pennsylvania, did a case in Pennsylvania, just a night, and then went to Staten Island to work a case for 3 days. So the one that was in Pennsylvania was the Horsefly Chronicles house. And I had already told Julia and Phil Syracusa, who own the house, I already told them what my intention was going into what is believed to be the portal room. And I said, I'm not going in there and asking them, prove yourself to me. Right. I'm not going in there and saying, knock this off the table, make the lights flash. They don't have to prove themselves to me. I already know they're there. I went in asking for help for the case that I was going to be working on in Staten Island. And I got an unbelievable amount of activity, and we got it on tape. We got it all on tape. While I was in that room, while I was in there with 3 other people, while Phil and I were just in there, and while I was in there by myself for 15 minutes. It's a room that scared the crap out of a ton of people. I stayed in there by myself, because I never truly felt threatened, but I never felt threatened because I didn't go in there threatening. I didn't go in there acting superior. And that's where a lot of people really make a mistake. When I tell people, be careful what you take into an investigation, I'm not just talking about emotional baggage. I'm talking about attitude.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. And what kills me? Yeah. We said we were going to talk about this, and I'd like to talk a little bit about this, because you bring up a good point. When you talk about emotional baggage, when you talk about attitude, you know, what kills me? We said we were going to talk about this, and I'd like to talk a little bit about this, because you bring up a good point. Because, because it brings, you bring up a good point. When you talk about emotional baggage, when you talk about attitude, you know, what kills me? We said we were going to talk about this, and I'd like to talk a little bit about this, when we talked about some of the shows that are being broadcast right now that are just, I don't really have, that's a light way to put it. That's putting it lightly.
I'm being sweet.
You are being very sweet. But I'm going to be downright, no, I'm not going to be rude, but I'm going to tell you my honest opinion. When you have to go in and start causing a ruckus and start disrespecting these entities and these spirits just so you can get good ratings on TV, I really believe that's horrible. That's just, it's something that it doesn't, first of all, it's disrespectful. And, second of all, I love the way you put it. You go in there for help. You don't have to ask them to do all these things. That's for TV.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. Well, see, and that's the thing. I mean, I've been on the sets of shows. Mm-hmm. I've seen how they work. If you're not afraid of alienating some listeners, I can tell you about the most recent one if you want me to.
Sure.
Okay.
Just remember, folks, it's not Dave Scott, it's Dave Cruz.
No, Dave Scott agrees with me on this one. Not last October, but the October before, my publisher / editor and myself were in Guthrie, Oklahoma. It's Mike Ricksecker. And he was contacted 3 times by Ghost Adventures to come to Oklahoma. Now, it's, I think, a 10-hour trip one way. Okay? And because where he lives now, and I do live in Oklahoma, but it's still a 2-hour drive from where I live. Mm-hmm. But he was asked to come there because he had investigated the Stone Lion Inn many times, had many videos up about it, and just knows everything about it. And so they contacted him 3 times. He finally agreed to do it. And so we go there. He goes there. I meet him up there because he's my friend, and I haven't seen him in years since he moved. So I went up there as support. We're there for 6 hours. 6 hours. His is the last interview to do. So we waited until all that was done and everything. But during that time, I got to see a whole lot. I got to hear a whole lot. I got to hear EVPs when they were playing them. Got to listen to them talk. The lady that owns the house found out who I was and asked me to be on the show, and I turned it down. Because A, I was there to support my friend, and B, I can't stand Zach Baggins. So, has some of the worst energy of anybody I've ever come into contact with. Matter of fact, I only got a picture. Oh, yeah. I've only got a picture taken with him because my stalker's in love with him, and I knew she'd see it. So, that's me. That's my bad attitude. But it was funny. I'm not even going to lie. It was funny. But, so, anyway, got to see all that. Months go by. They keep contacting Mike for additional information. He sends it to them. Never one time did they indicate to him, even though they were tagged in every post made about it, because Mike's fans set up a viewing party. Mike didn't set it up. His fans did, because he's an author as well. We have a very successful YouTube show. People love Mike, and they should. He's a great guy. And never once, not one time, did anybody from that show contact Mike to let him know they had cut him. But they had an image of a man in a black trench coat standing next to the fireplace in part of the footage. Not one person there had a black trench coat, but Mike did. I was there. I witnessed it. That's what he wore when they were filming him. But they cut him completely out, and he found out at the viewing party. What he also got to see at the viewing party were the EVPs we listened to when they were caught, only they were altered and stuff was added to them. Yes, sir. They added stuff to the EVPs. That's a fact. So that's why I don't like those shows. When you've been on set and you've seen how it went down and you've heard this stuff, and then what they put on TV is not the same stuff, and they treat people like that, I have no place for them. No place for them at all. Plus it's crap. How can we learn anything if everybody fakes stuff?
Exactly.
We're not doing anybody any good except for lining somebody else's wallet. And you know what? No. You can't pay me enough money to fake this stuff.
You know, I always had a suspicion that that's what they were doing, and now getting the lowdown from you, I can already just put it to rest. It's a bunch of crap.
Yep. Absolutely is.
Thank you very much for actually giving me that piece of advice.
You're
yeah. I mean, it's here's the thing. I think it's a double-edged sword. It gets people involved when they watch these shows where they want to learn, but if they're going to continue to learn from these shows, that's the rabbit hole, for lack of a better word, or you're stuck in a rut. With me, I when I first started watching Ghost Adventures, like everyone else, I got caught in that too. I was like, oh, this is great. Can't wait to watch the next one. Then it's like you start hearing about all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes and this and that, and it's like, no way. You don't want to believe it, but of course, there you go.
Well, and the sad part about it is the other people on the show were great. Aaron Goodwin, nice guy. Stood outside, talked to him for a while, smoked some cigarettes with all the other guys. Nice people. And I don't believe in my heart that this is their call. That this is their idea. Not from what I witnessed. There is one person in charge. One. Everybody else is just doing what they're told because it's their job. Mm-hmm. And I get that. Now, granted, I wouldn't do that. But I get it. And so I'm not down on anybody else on that. What I don't like is, like you said, people learn, unfortunately, how to investigate the paranormal from these shows. Now, to me, that is the equivalent of learning how to be a doctor from watching General Hospital. I mean, it's so not the same thing. There is hours and hours and hours and hours of footage that doesn't have nothing. You might do an entire investigation and you don't get one darn thing. And you know what? That's okay. That is totally okay. I would rather watch an hour-long show that half the time doesn't get anything, because then I know the other half the times when they do, odds are I can buy it. I can believe it. Heck, right. I worked on the Demon House in Seattle case. Apparently after they did, I never saw that episode because I don't even have regular TV. I have Netflix and Hulu. So I never even saw the episode. But I got contacted to work on that case apparently after they went in and said that it wasn't haunted. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, full of crap. That place is so haunted it wasn't even funny. And the evidence was outstanding. But that was around the time people were claiming that they were fake. So Douche Baggins decided that it was a good idea to have one show where they said that the people in the house were just crazy and they didn't get nothing. And that was the one place they would have gotten everything had they have went about it correctly.
And that's the problem again with these kind of shows is they need something to happen. So therefore something happens, but it's not out of the unordinary, if you will. I've talked to a lot of different teams or a lot of different hunters that have said most times nothing happens, or you hear pipes, banging, or it's the walls are creaking. It's all natural stuff that happens. It has nothing to do with the supernatural.
Absolutely. And what kills me is this is the other part, and this is actually probably my biggest problem with the whole thing. and I don't care what show it is that we're talking about, not everything that happens is negative. And it sure as heck isn't a demon. I mean, that drives me insane. It's like they think that no one will watch if it isn't something mean that they get, or no one will watch if it isn't something, if it isn't demonic that they get. What is wrong with contacting somebody's dead relative? What is wrong with giving a family closure? What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I have talked to hundreds of different people about this, probably even thousands, and every last one of them has said, it'd be great if there was a show that did this. That's when they go in and they start talking about, giving the families some closure and, finding out what's actually going on and seeing if they can help, And so far, the majority of the shows out there just do not do that. It's got to be negative. It's got to be a demon, and somebody better get scratched or bit. And it's crap. It doesn't happen like that, And it just makes that part makes me absolutely crazy. Because in my 45 years, I have only come up against something of that nature. And I mean, when I'm saying the D word, something of that nature once. And then in the same location, came up sort of against it and hauled Heine because I had my son with me. So it took me 45 years for that to happen. Yet it happens every other week on that show.
It does. Yeah, they must be in some serious hot spots. And speaking of hot spots, we have a great chat going on in the Spreaker chat right now for Spaced Out Radio. I'm liking the comments, especially from Snarky. Says, I like how they jump at everything. It's like you do this for a living.
Oh, great. I can actually tell you, aside from doing some, Mike and I were going to do a show on what not to look for in the paranormal. And so I watched some of the Ghost Adventures episodes on Hulu so I could school myself on what isn't real. And I remember that when I did have cable years and years and years ago, there was one episode of theirs that I did watch, and I want to say it was in Arizona or something like that. It was like a gold mine hotel or something like that. And first off, he does the one thing that irritates the dickens out of me. And that's, goes into a place and says, okay, tell me where everything happens. Dude, this is an investigation. Figure it out. Okay? Figure it out. You're there for 3 days. That's what people don't realize. They're there for 3 or 4 days.
Right.
So the episode's an hour. They've got time to figure out the hot spots. So I don't like that. I completely disagree with doing that. I think it should be an investigation, not a tell me where to set my camera up type of situation. But I remember this was a place where I guess a prostitute from back in the gold rush days or whatever had been impregnated, and the guy in the hotel or whatever had chained her or something to a bed until the baby was born, and threw the baby down a well or whatever. I guess, God. I know, horrible. But I guess that, Zach went in there all, tough guy, which is a joke. And by the end of the show, I want to say he was jumping out the second story window or something. And I'm like, dude, really? Really? I mean, this is what you do for a living. Imagine if cops did that.
Right.
I'm going to go get that bad guy. Oh, I better run. I'm just like, and I just don't get it. And people still watch it. I mean, he's a millionaire, I'm sure. People still watch it. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
That, and it gets me because real investigators, like some that I know that I've had on my show, they basically live off ramen. You know what I mean? And they go out and they do their investigations, and they don't get paid like these guys do. I'll tell
you right now, some of the best evidence you will find, is on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's real. It's real. Mike Ricksecker, my publisher, him and Shauna Wankel, his wife, they have caught some amazing evidence. It's all on YouTube on Haunted Road Media. NP Paranormal out of England, amazing evidence. You cannot dispute their evidence because it's done live. You know, and they're urban explorers. I mean, there's no electricity in the places they're going. Believe that. I've investigated with them in England. Beyond Perception investigators, same situation. You know, I mean, I honestly, I beg everybody, go on there and check out them. Check out Ectovision Paranormal. These are the people that people should be watching right there because they get the best evidence, and plenty of other teams out there too. Here's the kicker. This is what people need to look for when they're looking up teams that have actual evidence. Mm-hmm. Watch the hands. Watch where the recorders are. If they're holding the recorder the entire time and it sounds, and they're getting sounds on it but not words, it's something called thumbing. And it's where you can't see it, but it's where they rub their thumb along the side of the EVP recorder. Okay?
That's interesting.
Yes, you need to watch for that. Really, EVP recorders should be set down. They should be set down so that they're not touched when you're doing any type of EVP session. You can also, there are certain type of EVP recorders that you can imprint words on. So when people are doing that, when they're doing their sessions, they should say before they start a session which file they're in and what time it is or whatever, and they should show it to you. MP is one of the best about doing that. One of the best, because they don't want people to, to think it's fake, because it's not. There was a team in England that I didn't work with, I refused to work with, where one of the guys threatened to beat my head in with a baseball bat. Because, true story, because I exposed their fakery on Twitter.
Wow, that's a bit extreme.
Yeah. So, but I think you know me well enough to know now that I don't sit down for that. So I went on YouTube and I made a video letting them know exactly where I was going to be, what time my plane landed, and everything else when I flew into England. I figured, you're going to threaten it. Might as well come try it. We'll see how far you get. They didn't do it.
But yeah, of course. We've got a few minutes before we go to break. And that's one of the things that I want to talk to you tonight about is ghost hunting equipment. And since we're on the EVPs, are you okay with, telling some of your, I don't want to say secrets or however you want to say it, but when you use EVPs, how do you do that?
Okay. Here's the funny part. You're going to laugh. I don't own one piece of paranormal equipment. Not one. Except for myself. Because I use me. So I borrow. When it comes to EVPs, I'm real strict. If it isn't pretty dang clear to me, then I'm probably going to discount it. If it's somewhat clear, but I'm not for certain, I will send it to everybody I trust and say, and not tell them what it says to me. I'll send it to them and say, tell me what you make of this. I'll do the same with any video. I am my worst critic, my absolute worst critic. I will be the first to debunk anything that I've caught. Anything. When it comes to that SB7 doohickey that everybody uses, when Gwen and I from BPI, Beyond Perception Investigators, when we use that in Virginia, it's such a beautiful thing because she's ex-EMT and police officer. So she knows the radio sounds that come through before anybody else does. And she's immediate in saying, nope, that's a radio. Nope, that's a radio. That's a police radio. So I don't own any of the equipment, but when it comes to using it, we always try to debunk first. Always. I mean, because to me, it's you're not doing yourself any good if you automatically assume that everything you get is paranormal, and you're definitely not doing the client any good.
Right. Yeah, and I know that goes for pics as well, for pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I had gotten a question, again, from the Spreaker chat. And Snarky wants to know, what do you think about ghost boxes?
I haven't. If he means that SB7 doohickey, here's the thing. I'm so on the fence about that stuff because I always wonder, can things be tampered with?
Mm-hmm.
I always worry about that. I always worry if I want whatever evidence I get to be indisputable, if I can get it that way. And just like with ghost apps, those, I just don't know how I feel about it. To me, when you bring too much technology into it, it can make it to where it's easy to manipulate, or easy to assume that it's saying something that it actually isn't. And to me, I will say this with my dying breath. For any teams out there, the best piece of evidence you can take on an investigation is a notepad and a pencil. Best piece of evidence, best piece of equipment you can take is a notepad and a pencil. Because if you have any sensitive abilities at all, you can go in, you can write down everything you hear, everything you see, everything you smell, everything you taste, everything you feel, and you have a log there. You can time it. And you can actually go back after and have your researchers go through that whole thing and find correlation. When I go into a place, I go in cold. I know nothing of the location. Very few times have I went in knowing anything. When I went into one in Virginia, I literally hit the ground running. And I'm telling Gwen, she's got video camera on me the whole time, I'm giving her names, dates of death. It was Civil War, so the location they should have come from, which wasn't the one they did come from, the loss of life, what happened to the people in the house when it was a Hillsman house, the people that were in the basement being covered with blood because the top part of the house was commandeered to be a hospital. I'm telling her all of this stuff at a location I had never been, didn't know anything about it. Actually told her, hey, the soldiers that are talking to me right now say that had they not have come from the direction they did, had they have come from across the street, over that hill, down in that valley, back through those trees, if they would have just come that way, the loss of life would be less. But they changed their mind and they came the other way. And, the water runs red going from this direction to this direction, and all the names and everything. She was actually able to go back and dig and dig and dig and dig and confirm every last bit of it. Took her a week of digging, but she was able to confirm every last bit. And to me, there's no EVP in the world that's going to top that.
Right.
When you can go in and know something that hasn't been written about in 150 some odd years. I mean, no one knows anything about it, but you can actually confirm the people who are saying it. That's huge. And we all have that capability. I ain't special. They want to talk to us. We just have to want to listen.
Right. I agree with that. And I feel that in some ways, when you're sensitive, especially to the spirits and your surroundings and everything, that type of ability definitely helps. And maybe so much, not so much for the people who don't have that ability. Maybe they have to rely on the equipment more. But I think it's great that everything can be used for the same outcome, if you will.
Absolutely. I think every team should have a sensitive on it. But I'm going to tell you right now, vet your sensitive. Okay? Check them out. make sure they're legit. Okay,
we'll definitely do that.
Really important.
We'll definitely do that. All right, Vanessa, we are going to have to take our first break right here. And when we come back, we'll get into some more ghosts, spiritual activity, and everything that falls in between.
Okie dokie.
All right. This is Spaced Out Radio Saturdays. I am your host, Dave Cruz, and we are speaking with Vanessa Hogle. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spaceoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spaceoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over the Spaced Out Radio night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Had a run-in with ghosts, maybe Bigfoot, or seen lights in the sky? Hi, I'm Mike Schmidt from the SOR Sightlines. I'm here to investigate your sighting. Head to spacedoutradio.com and fill out a report on the Sightlines. All your information is 100% confidential, and I will help you figure out what you've been seeing. File your report and let's find out the answers together.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience. Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Looking for nighttime adventure? Old school radio that delves into everything out of the norm? Then check us out at Spaced Out Radio. This is Dave Scott. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we're going to take you on a wild ride ranging from conspiracies to true crime and every ghost, alien, and Sasquatch story in between. We're always live, and we're always interactive with you. So join us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, we own the night.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guests and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Cruz and SOR.
And welcome back to Spaced Out Saturdays with me, Dave Cruz. Tomorrow night, Elizabeth Anglin has Psychic Sundays on Spaced Out Sundays Cosmic Passport, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Newman, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are also live on the United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are live on KTLK, The Fringe FM as well. We're live as well on iHeartRadio in the U.S., and you can find us on TuneIn and iTunes for download. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. Head on over to the website for some great features from videos from UFO seekers and Contact TV. Shop at our store and pick up t-shirts, posters, and stickers. And don't forget to rock out to our resident guitar god, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, who is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. And don't forget to catch me, Dave Cruz, on my show, Beyond the Strange, tomorrow night, Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And again, I just want to say thanks again to Vanessa Hogle for being on the show tonight. So far, so good. It's been really awesome, Vanessa. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Even though I'm really sarcastic. I'm such a mean woman.
But I love it though. That's the thing. So it's all good. It's, you know, and believe me, everyone listening right now, they're loving it just as much.
Well, good.
And I just want to remind people in any of the chat rooms, if you need to send me a question, you can do it. If you do it in chat rooms, please type it in caps, bold, whatever, to get my attention. That would be great. And I guarantee I'll get to your question for Vanessa. And what I'd like to do, beginning this round, if you will, Vanessa, is I'd like to continue talking about investigations, because here's the thing. I remember when I mentioned that I did my first investigation like 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea what I was walking into. As a matter of fact, it was me and my wife. We were just going for a walk, a normal walk that we do along the marina where we live. And there happens to be a lot of these old shops. Well, there's a lot of history at that marina that we didn't know about. And one of those shops was actually an art museum. Now, this art museum was converted into a museum, but it was an old Victorian house. So this house was built in the 1800s, back when the town was being it was new at the time. This is the 1800s, old Victorian, everything, all the architecture, that kind of thing. The marina was the port for all these goods coming in and out. So there was a lot of activity, drunkards and prostitution and that kind of thing. Probably like what you see in, like the old settings of England or London and that kind of thing. Well, we heard about this house being haunted, or this museum. So we went in there, and again, not knowing what I was walking into, and then finding out later that, yes, I am a sensitive. I am I am empathic. I decided to go up to the second floor and found out that there was a lot more activity going up there than there was on the first floor. And what had happened was I felt a heaviness in my chest, like I was having a heart attack. I started feeling like I couldn't breathe. And when I walked over to the other side of the floor, it kind of started going away. So I was like, this is really bizarre. I went back over to where I was, and I started feeling it again. Then I'm like, I'm going downstairs, and I went downstairs. It all went away. Pretty bizarre.
Not really.
Well, right. But at the time it was. While I was experiencing this, it was very uncool. But yes. I did go back with the medium that I had known. And like you said, pen and paper. She was writing everything down. And when I went back up to the second floor where she was at, she had said, don't move. Come over here slowly and walk up the stairs to the third floor and stay right there in the middle of those stairs. And I started feeling it again, but it was like an anxiety. And she had said, okay, just let it go, discharge, let everything flow through you, ground yourself, that kind of thing. Did everything. The feeling finally went away. And I hadn't told her what had happened to me before. Mm-hmm. She already had it written down before I mentioned it to her.
Yep. I'm telling you.
Pretty intense.
Thing to do.
Pretty intense. So,
but it's the best thing to do, though.
Yes.
And,
I agree.
It just, the thing is everybody watches, like we talked about, these shows. They watch all that, and they expect. I don't want to insult anyone by saying this, but I'm going to anyway. They expect all of a sudden there to be the graphics, and the hype and everything else, when in many cases it's exactly what you just described. And if you can bring somebody in that does not know that experience and can validate it for you, what more do you need? We have already proven, I think it was David Wolf, that guy that does all those fancy quotes on Facebook, okay. The guy with curly hair. I think he said, we've already proven that spirits exist. We have. You're never going to convince me they don't, because I've lived it my entire life. I have no need to prove to anybody else that there is life after death. I have no need. Just like he said, if you've already proven something exists, you don't have to keep proving it. You document it.
Mm-hmm.
You interact with it. You find ways to communicate. You learn from it. So I never go into an investigation feeling like I have to prove anything to anybody, because I'm not gonna. I don't care. I don't care if anyone believes me. It's irrelevant to me. I know my experience. I don't have to have it validated, but it's nice if it is. But it isn't to prove to anyone else that I had that experience. It's for me to figure out what I can take from it, what I can give back to it, and what I need to do the next time, so that we can move forward in this field, so that we can understand things better. You know, I mean, that's what it should be about anyway. You were talking about ghost pics earlier, or somebody said something about ghost pics.
Mm-hmm.
I did a show on Paranormal Zone TV about ghost pics. I do these every now and then. People will send them in, you know, and I give my reading on them, or my reading, my opinion, whatever you want to call it. And bless the people, they come and they watch. God love them, you know. And I felt a little bad because this one pic was put up, and I could not, and not that it should matter, but I could not, in good faith, put my name behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't. And the person got offended for a minute, and I'm like, I'm not saying you faked it.
Right.
I'm not saying that one bit. I'm saying my gut won't let me put my name behind it. Now, that means nothing to anybody else, but to me, it's everything. Because I've worked too hard to be known as legit. I'm not going to say something is something if I'm not certain. And I felt bad because he got real offended. And I'm like, look, me saying this has absolutely zero to do with your experience. You don't need my opinion to validate what you're feeling. You don't need my opinion to make it believable to you. And I think that's where we all get messed up. We think everybody has to agree. And we don't. We don't.
Well, we shouldn't. That's
different.
Otherwise we don't learn anything.
Exactly. If we all agree, we're sheep. You know? And I mean, when I was in Easton, Pennsylvania, working on that Horsefly Chronicles case, we have a session, a live feed session, where I was doing a pendulum session in the portal room. And I mean, it's great video. And there's some stuff happening in the mirror that's in that portal room that is unexplainable. And a friend of mine contacted another friend, and bless them, they said, I don't want to say anything to Vanessa, but I'm wondering if that isn't part of her shirt that we're seeing that we think is something else. And so my other friend contacted me and they asked me about it. And I said, well, I don't know why she didn't feel like she could say something to me. I said, that's a great question. That's a great question, you know. It had me going back and looking on the oh, sorry, my son just dropped something. Is everything okay over there, buddy? Yes. Okay, that's okay, honey. It had me going back and looking at the video to make sure that I wasn't mistaken. And I went back and I looked, and I'm like, I could see where somebody would think that, but if that was the case, then you would see this, and then you would see this, and then you would see this. So I was able to discount it, but I loved the fact that somebody had took the time to look so hard at that video to bring that question forward, because it made me look at it with a whole new set of eyes. And that's where we should be in this. That's where we all should be in this. If someone questions your evidence, don't get offended. Go back and look at it. The concept's really not that hard. Now, if someone's just being a jerk and saying, oh, that's crap. Well, no, you can't tell me that's crap. Give me a reason that you think it's crap and let me see what I can do about it. You know, don't insult it. But questioning is great, because that's how we grow as investigators. That's how we grow as psychics. That's how we grow as sound people, whatever you want to call it. We have to have that confrontation. We have to have that interaction so that we're getting something from it. We're just not coming in and saying, I'm the best. You believe everything I say, and all is right with the world. And that seems to be the attitude with so many groups. And that's disturbing for me.
Sure. What about when you get pictures and you go over them? I mean, the various categories. I mean, are there various categories of types of pictures that you see? Like, I noticed that some have squiggly light lines, or there's what they call these spheres, these bubbles. I'm sorry?
Orbs.
Thank you very much. As a matter of fact, I had taken some pictures during my investigation, and I found that there's these little spheres, orbs, also as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought they were interesting. I was also told by some people that, you know, there's reasons for that, but I couldn't help but think that I've never really noticed these orbs in other pictures that I had taken when I wasn't, you know, looking for anything or during an investigation.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to orbs, and boy, your chat room is going to blow up now. When it comes to orbs, you're going to have people out there that say there is absolutely no such thing, that is dust or that is bugs.
Right.
And sometimes they're correct.
Water vapor.
Yeah, but sometimes they're not. I have seen some amazing orb pictures. I've taken some amazing orb pictures. I have been in the presence of other people who have taken amazing orb pictures. Explain to me one that we took in Whitby, England, that's literally 500 feet or more away from us. Shows up clear as a bell. I'm on the pier in Whitby, England. This is on the beach, up against the cliff. This is March in England. Trust me, nobody's sunbathing out there. This is the North Sea. It's friggin' cold, okay? So there's no metal lawn chairs. There's no nothing to have a flash off of. It's the middle of the day and bright as can be. There's no flash, period. Yet this thing is the size of a beach ball and is blood orange. That's not a bug. That's not dust. That's not water vapor. However, in other pictures we got, there was bugs, there was dust, there was water vapor. So it's blanket statements that bother me more than the actual pictures. I think each one should be looked at individually, whether it is in still photograph form or whether it's in video. If you go in closed-minded, you leave closed-minded and you've learned nothing. But if you open your mind just a little bit, just a hair, to let another idea in, you know, then you'll see that those actually could be, you know, concentrated energy. We were followed all over England and some in Scotland with them. Different cameras, different people. So I believe that they are things for the most part, but I still go over them with a fine-tooth comb. Same with the little squiggly line. Sometimes that is literally the person shaking with the camera. Sometimes it's their, what do you call that? Their shutter speed. You know, I mean, it could be anything. But if you automatically discount it, you could miss something.
Yeah. I could totally see that. No, I mean, I could totally see that. And, again, in the chat, great comments coming through, Dennis comes in. Oh, well, they say different things, but I mean, we have comments like Milo says, good to be skeptical without being cynical.
Absolutely. Thank you, Milo.
And Dennis says, discernment is key.
Absolutely.
You know, we got great comments coming in. You know, people are listening. You know, they're and again, you know, debate is always healthy as long as it's a healthy debate.
Exactly. Here, let me just go ahead and preface everything else that we talk about with this one statement. There is not one expert in this field. Not one. Some people want to call me that in certain areas. I'm not an expert. I am still learning just like every last one of us. And if somebody claims to be an expert, run. Okay? Turn around and run. Because this isn't this isn't a field based on science. Okay? And even though people will tell you that they're going through it in a scientific manner, unless they are doing multiple, literally perfectly imitated tests to where they're the same, the situation, the environment, everything is exactly the same each time. They form their hypotheses. They have done all this work. Unless they can say that they have done that and come up with an answer beyond a shadow of doubt, it is not scientific. So that's just a fancy word that people like to throw around to make themselves feel more important. Okay? We're all still learning. There are no experts, myself included. That's my little preface.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, doing my show, talking with people, I never stop learning. Never.
Exactly. And if you do, there's something wrong.
Something very wrong.
I'm learning every dang day. You know, I'm learning what my boundaries are. I'm learning what I can do. I'm learning what I shouldn't do. You know, I've made some stupid mistakes because I give great advice when it comes to shielding, but I don't listen to it. You know, so I've been injured on many occasions. Got scars to prove it. Not fun. You know, I don't learn real fast when it comes to my limitations. And I've had to be taken down a peg by those who love me, saying, you know what, you're not Superwoman. And they're right. You know, and I'm still learning on that. And I've been in this body doing this for 45 years. So, I mean, that's something I want people to take away from it, is to feel that, you know, they've not only do they have something to take from it, but they've got something to give. It's a give and take. You know, you know what, that leads me into something, if you don't mind me saying it real quick. That's the other thing that really bothers me about a lot of these shows out there, is they go in, they stir up a ruckus, and then they leave. So what's the point of them doing it?
You're right.
If this is to help people, if this is to learn, what do we learn? You're a jerk? That's what we learned. You know, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at with it. There's a
lot of jerks out there, Vanessa.
A lot of jerks out there. You know, the cases that you know, we've spent time on in Virginia, we've been in contact with, you know, the property owners or the homeowners or what have you multiple times since then, making sure everything's okay. You know, or we try as best we can. It isn't always possible, but we try as best we can to bring whatever we come into contact with closure while we're there. That doesn't mean making them leave. That just means, you know, letting them know that we heard them, you know, and if there's any contact in the future, we're still there to talk. Yeah, and I've always wondered why that isn't the case with some of these damn shows.
Well, and that's, again, the problem with these shows. I mean, they're there for entertainment, maybe some educational value, not much, but it's all entertainment. And when you have investigators going out there like you and some of the people that I know, you know, it does. Here's the thing. I don't care You know, if I turn investigator, I call myself part investigator because I investigate into a lot of these subjects and topics because I need to learn. But the thing is I'm not going to do the stuff that these guys are doing on the TV because it has no value for me.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't help. It doesn't do anything. If anything, it's going to hurt. And so that's why I tend to talk and listen with my guests or other people's guests that I learn from by talking to them, because it's important. Like I said, when I walked into that first investigation, I had no clue what I was running into, and it was intense. And for anyone that does the same thing, that says, hey, you know, one day they're just going to get up, go into a house that has some paranormal activity, they're not ready for it. You don't belong there, man.
Exactly. I'm sure some of the people in the chat have probably heard me talk about this before, but some haven't. But my first investigations that I did in Virginia, generally the stuff starts with me. They start trying to communicate a couple of months before. It's because they know you're coming. And people who think that that's crazy, well, you're wrong. So they know you're coming. If you're somebody like me that speaks to spirits and stuff, they've got their finger on the pulse. They know exactly what's going on. And there were some that wanted me there and some that didn't. And there was so much drama and chaos, delays, everything with me trying just to get to Virginia. Just trying to get there. You know, I mean, canceled flights, delayed flights, flat tires, major thunderstorms, floods, you name it, it happened. And I finally got there. And I had no idea what I was truly walking into. No idea. Had I have known, I might not have went. My first experience with something that I would consider truly otherworldly and nasty was in Virginia. And I never in a million years expected that. I expected everything else that came with it, but I didn't expect that. And it was probably the only thing that's ever happened to me in this field that actually made me, Chris Loper and Gwen Clapper, both of them from BPI, we actually all just sat down and decided, you know, we were in the process of deciding to not do this anymore. You know, and that's a lot to take something that you love and just say, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And of course we didn't. But I mean, just after coming back from there, I mean, we spent in 4 days, we probably had, well, let's see, I think we slept between 4 and 6 hours a night. And the rest of the time investigating. That many locations. And it was done in 4 days. And by the time I got back, you know, my flight, I was so beat up and bruised and battered and swollen and you name it, just from the hell I was put through for 4 days, that it took almost a month to recover from.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's why, another reason right there why I'm not buying all the crap you see on half these shows. Because I'm like, no, I know what that feels like. I know what it looks like. I know what it tastes like, what it smells like. And you don't hop in a car and drive to another location and say, yeah, buddy, let's do that again. Because you can't. Your emotional level can't tolerate it.
Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah. I really believe that too. And I don't hear enough guests say that. Or people on their shows on TV say that. And the thing is here, I mean, like, okay, so you know it's scripted. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It just is. when you see douchebaggins.
Hey, I coined that hashtag. I sure did.
There you go.
Mine.
I mean, he's sitting there and he's quiet, and you got the what's it called with the camera, the dark
the infrared, the
night vision.
Yeah, night vision.
And you got the night vision on, and you can see, they got the all black eyes, and they look really creepy and stuff. And you're wondering, are they being possessed? What's going on? This and that. And that's the thing. Right? It's entertaining. That's the thing. But when you really leave a place that you've been to, that carries on. It follows you.
It absolutely does. Sorry, I had to get a glass of water.
No, that's all right. But and here's the thing. This is going to segue into another question from the chat. And Dennis, number 1, because there's 2 Dennises in there.
Okay.
Dennis asks, do spirits, ghosts know distance or are limited by distance? I guess is a better question.
That's actually a really good question. It's a really good question. It's different. They don't, because they don't have to, perceive it the same way that we do. When I started working with NP Paranormal out of England, y'all need to realize I'm in Oklahoma. They're in England, okay? That is, 15 to 1,600 miles away, I think. I'm communicating with the spirits that they're communicating with at the same time. True story. We have it, and we were doing our investigations live via live stream. So I'm giving them the information that I'm receiving in my head that I have to assume is coming from those same spirits, and they're confirming it where they are through EVP and SB7s and everything else. And they're telling them what I'm telling them. So, I mean, we even have, I know people have heard this before, they actually had one of the EVPs from a place called Nine Lady Stone Circle asking, where is Vanessa? And I'm watching the live stream as it's happening, and the spirits are asking them where I am. That's a little strange.
Whoa.
Even for me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because I told one of the investigators to tell one of the other investigators, I said, tell him to put his hand on the stone, because I knew what was going to happen. And so he did. And my friend Carl put his hand on the stone and then took and did an EVP session. Mm-hmm. First thing that comes out on that EVP is take your hand off the stone.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I knew it, because I knew that they didn't want him to, but I had to test it. I told you I'm mean, but it got a great EVP, okay?
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, so it's, for me, it hasn't been my experience that distance is an issue. And that goes hand in hand with time. We perceive time in a very stringent way, because we know that 3 o'clock is 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock is 6 o'clock and so on and so forth, because a clock tells us so. We know that a year is 365 days. We know all that because a calendar tells us so. But we are also confined to these lovely little meat sacks called bodies. But spirits aren't. And it's kind of been proven that time is not really an issue that once you've passed on, because you no longer have those physical limitations. Mm. So it's when people get up, they wonder, why does a location lay dormant for years and all of a sudden boom? Well, to us it's years. To them it might not be. And I mean, it's so many different factors, that play into it. But I am of the belief I am of the opinion that time and distance are truly irrelevant when it comes to spirit communication, because I mean, I've never really had an issue with it.
Okay, that's cool, because Dennis has a follow-up question, and he's dead serious about this.
Awesome.
Do ghosts go into outer space?
You know what? That's actually another really good question. We've talked about this on mine and Mike's show, and I believe it's possible. I really do. It's not something that I would discount. It's not something that I would say is an absolute impossibility. There's too much. And when you think about it, my son and I were actually talking about this today, because we were having a nice little theological discussion, because that's just how we roll. And I was explaining to him, I'm like, well, go back and look at some hieroglyphs on the pyramids in Egypt. You can look up those pictures. That predates religion by how many thousands of years? Yet they have depictions on those hieroglyphs of things that we have today.
Mm.
They have depictions of what looks to be alien life force on some of those hieroglyphs.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about that, when you start to tie all those things together, when you think about how far we've fallen back due to the destruction of the Library of Alexandria, and how far we would be ahead today had that not have been destroyed. When you put all those little factors together, you have to realize there's so much more out there that we don't know, because A, it was destroyed so we can't know it, or B, someone destroyed it so we wouldn't know it now, and it makes me, as far as I know, we all come from outer space.
Of course. Yeah.
True story. As far as I know, we've got that DNA running through every last dang one of us. It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, exactly. We have, this rock was bombarded.
Oh, yeah.
And it just makes sense that, in the process, okay, I'm not going to get all scientific, because I'm not a scientist. But yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Well, you have to look at things and how long it can take to prove something. How many years did we go believing that man killed off Neanderthals? We went how many years believing that? Well before I was born, and I'm 45. That was always the common knowledge, that we killed off Neanderthals because they were a lesser species. They were less intelligent. They didn't communicate. They didn't have skills. They were just these things basically that walked around dragging their hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has been proven in the last 5 years. That was not the case. They were bred out. They were intelligent beings. They used tools. They had communication. They had civilized communities. That's been proven. And they have actually proven, through DNA testing, that some of us still carry the Neanderthal DNA gene in us, in our DNA. And you would think that it might be around Mongolia or something like that, correct? Wrong. It's Eastern European. And the blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. That is a proven scientific fact. So when you take all the things that we thought we knew and watch them be disputed and watch them be proven wrong, why can't that be one of them?
I love it. Vanessa Hogle, not just a ghost gal, but now we're getting down to the science of this.
I like to read.
And dare I ask, do you get into ufology?
I don't necessarily get into it. I'm not as schooled as I should be on it. Do I believe they exist? You betcha.
That's
betcha.
Awesome. Well,
I believe the same thing with what people call Bigfoot. The thing is, it's just, with me, the way that my brain works, I just can't slam it down and say that, no, this doesn't exist because I haven't seen it with my own eyes. Because if I do that, then I have no hope of spreading my message the best I can, because why should anybody believe me?
Mm-hmm.
Just because they haven't seen or done or heard or whatever the things that I have. I have to give the same type of respect to others that I would like to get for myself. And I really do believe that those things exist. The fact that people think that we're the most intelligent thing out there scares the crap out of me. Because if that's the truth, woo, are we in trouble?
Yeah.
We're in trouble if that is the truth.
We would be. That's for sure.
Yes, without a doubt.
We do have another somewhat comment or question, and this comes from Bonnie in the Spreaker chat.
Okay.
Sometimes I wonder if time is stacked, like we see them, they see us from two different times, thinking the other is a ghost. I kind of heard...
Possible.
Yeah, I kind of heard this theory that it's possible, not only time, but dimension, that, or parallel universe, if you will, that...
We've had a discussion on my show.
Oh, great. I'd love to hear about it. So what did you guys come up with?
It's definitely a possibility. And it was really interesting because Mike explained, it was Andrea Perrin. She was on our show. And she explained something that was rather phenomenal. I had never heard of a situation like this. And she explained how in the house that her and her family grew up in, and for those who don't know, Andrea Perrin is one of the original daughters from The Conjuring. And she's a dear friend of mine. And I was actually introduced to her by Mike. She's known Mike for years. And she explained something that happened with her mother. And they were in that big house. And I don't know if anyone remembers, just kind of how it was implied that it was laid out, like the large dining room and then the big like country kitchen behind it. Mm-hmm. But her mother had been having a hard time. And so she had went in there. Her mother finally said she was hungry. And so she went in there to make her up something to eat real quick. And she came out of the kitchen with the food, and her mom was standing in the doorway of the dining room, this large dining room, and said that there were people eating at the table right there in front of the fireplace in this dining room, but it wasn't their table. It was one from years ago, from whenever these people lived there. And it was them stoking the fire, and it was them eating with their utensils and their dishes, not Andrea's and her family's. And I found that so fascinating because you tend to not have a collective memory like that. Generally, if you physically see a spiritual image like that, you don't see something necessarily imprinted that way. Maybe with soldiers. Now, like in England and stuff, you'll see the Roman soldiers. Okay, you will see them. That's a bit different. This is just a family gathering, and the spirits themselves were interacting. It wasn't silent. It wasn't any of that. So for her to be seeing that actively going on, totally different furniture, everything else in a room that she was walking into, and as soon as Andrea walked into it, it went away and it became their furniture. And to show interaction, to me, that supports that theory. That really does. And people have made comment about that movie, The Others, how it's we're the spirits and they're the living and everything. And I totally can see how that would be possible. I really can. It wouldn't surprise me in one bit, because I know certain spirits don't know the other ones are there. Now, that's weird. Mm-hmm. That's weird. You're in a situation and you're dealing with two totally separate spirit communications, and you're talking to both of them, but they don't know the other one's there. Now, that's weird. That'll make you pull your own hair out. Believe that.
I believe it. I do.
So to me, that supports that theory 100%. Because you'd think they're both dead. You'd think they both know it. You'd think they'd see the other one, but they don't.
You know, and here's an interesting thing. I kind of wanted to talk to you about this. I stumbled upon this ghosthunting101.com, and I was saving it to talk to you about this because this is interesting, and it says what you may encounter. There are generally two types of spirits you may encounter. One was a human at one time, and it has remained on this level for some reason. You may not know it's dead, or it may be held here by unfinished business, guilt, etc. These spirits are like the person that was like they were when they were alive. So they could be good or bad. Now, here's the interesting part, and this is what we were talking about. You could also witness a residual haunting, which is just a playback of a past event. This is just like watching a video from the past playing over and over. The other type of spirit you may encounter were never human and are generally bad news. You must be aware of the type, but not obsessed with them. The chances that you will encounter them is in a regular ghost hunt are slim. Now, I want to go back to the residual haunting because this is basically what we've been talking about. Or it could be a parallel universe or a dimension, a different dimension. And then, here's the thing. I also talk about conspiracy and that kind of stuff. And I've noticed that there have been some weird time anomalies, such as what's been called the Mandela effect. And I'm sure you've heard of it before.
Yeah.
And I think that there might be some things going on with, black ops, whatever you want to call it, especially when it comes to CERN and what they're doing with all these experiments they're doing with trying to create black holes, that kind of thing. And I think it's creating shifts in the timeline. And because of that, we're starting to see a lot more activity like this. Not necessarily ghost hauntings or residual energy, but we're seeing different parallels.
I think that's a definite possibility. I really do. I mean, anything that disturbs the natural vibration of the earth and anything that goes out into space like that and disturbs that, that affects us. That affects our vibration. I'm going to tell you right now, just when the solar eclipse, that thing that happened, I'm a pediatric dental assistant during the week. For 2 days, patients were nuts. Okay? It was crazy. And that wasn't just at my clinic. That was at 2 other clinics for my company. We were all talking about it on the 3rd day because we couldn't believe how crazy it was. It was like a full moon times 10. Okay? So anytime you have anything like that going on, that's absolutely going to affect things. I don't see how it couldn't, because we're all energy. That's all we are. And that is an energy-based situation. If you take away our meat sacks, we're energy. So how could we not be affected?
Right. Exactly. And and
have a smarter answer for that, but that's just how I see it.
Well, and here's the other thing. I don't know about a lot of other people. I have talked to a few people, and I've listened to a few people on the radio and that sort of thing. And a lot of people claim that this eclipse that happened, a lot of people felt some interesting energy, some positive, some very positive, and others, it was like it threw them off somehow.
I can see that.
No kidding.
I can see that. I wasn't affected in a negative fashion, except for what I just said, because boy, that made for a hard couple of days. But as far as me personally, I wasn't affected negatively. I just wasn't. I actually feel pretty dang good. You know, I was actually outside to see it. I got an amazing picture from my selfie mode on my camera because, you know, you can't look right at it. And I can't even believe that I got this picture. There's a flower in the sky, literally a flower. Go figure. You know, so that was really, I know, right? I'll send it to you afterwards and you can see it. But
oh, cool.
But there's just, I can understand how that is. But here's the thing, and I honestly believe this. When we have that type of energy shift, when we have different things going on that affect our vibration and affect the things that are impacting us, they're going to affect it and amplify whatever we were feeling in the first place. I don't think anybody that was on a positive note turned negative because of it, or had a negative reaction towards it because of it. I think it just amplifies whatever you already had going on. And a lot of people don't realize that. When you're in this field and when you're looking into anything like this, self-reflection is key. You really do have to know yourself, and you have to know your boundaries, and you have to know, like I said earlier, your limitations. You have to know your own thoughts. You have to know how to be able to shield those thoughts. You have to know how to take responsibility for what's going on in your own head and not blame it on something else. And I think that's what a lot of people forget. And so they take the opportunity to say, well, you know, things went crappy for me because this happened. And this field loves drama. Let's just face it. You know, I mean, they love drama. Love it. And so you get a whole lot more attention if you say that you were affected in a negative fashion than you do if you were in a positive.
Yep. Just like mainstream media.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, and I'm not calling anybody out or, you know, saying anything negative about anybody, but it's true. It's true. That is a fact about this field. If you can say you were impacted negatively and this is why you're doing this, is because of that, you know, it's like that poor, pitiful me thing. You get a lot of attention for it. Exactly. So you're going to hear a lot more of that than you would if someone said, man, I just had a great day, you know, and that was sure pretty to watch. You know, I mean, I hope that doesn't sound too crappy, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Nobody likes boring, I guess. But, you know, I'll take boring over drama any day.
Yes.
Speaking of, I have to apologize to the Twitterverse. Okay. First of all, my alerts were off. So I have to, John T., if you're listening to me right now, John actually made a comment. He says, I like this gal. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, and he asked a question. Unfortunately, my alerts were off, so I didn't see it. So John is not very happy. So John, I'm not trying to appease everybody, but I will appease you because my alerts were off. So my bad, homie. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna get to your question right now. So we got 2 minutes before the break.
Yep.
So John wants to know, what's the creepiest thing you've experienced?
Oh wow. Okay.
Is that going to take more than 2 minutes?
It's going to take a minute.
Okay.
It's going to take a minute.
Well, I'll take a minute and then we can carry on.
Okay. Okay. So I have an attachment. I have a very strong attachment that I have finally been able to shield so that he can't hurt me anymore. And not only do I have this attachment has actually fought with other people that I'm very close with that live in another state. 2 other people, one who lives in this state, another one who lives in another state, have actually seen this attachment in front of their own eyes. I've had people, when I've done other shows, see him standing behind me during the shows and describe him perfectly when they know nothing about him. So if that fits into the creepy category, that's the one. That is the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me. And y'all, I've been I've had people pop in me and take a ride, you know? I mean, so for me to say that that trumps those, that's the truth. Because I'm never alone. And that's creepy for me. That's very creepy for me. And we can go into more detail about that if you want to.
Sure. I mean, you know, as long as you're okay with it, because, you know, this is you. We don't have to.
It's in my 3rd book that comes out next month. I literally, what I wrote in that book is the honest to goodness truth. I took all the pretty out of it. I took all the Hollywood out of it. I said, if people really want to know what this is like, they're going to find out. They're going to find out, and they might not like it, you know. But I mean, I've fought this guy in my dreams. I've woken up with hand marks and bruises all over my body in ways I can't put them.
Exactly.
You know?
All right. Well, we have definitely got to go to break. I apologize. I don't mean to cut you off. So
just remind me, because I'm forgetful. Okay.
So am I. That's for sure. All right. Let's go ahead and take that break. And when we come back, we will get into some more about that experience and talk about attachments, and we will talk about your books. So this is Spaced Out Radio. I am talking tonight. We have the pleasure of talking with Vanessa Hogle, and we will be right back. Don't go away.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Sightlines is a place for you to find answers to your strange experiences. Hi there, this is Mike Schmidt. If you have had an encounter with ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, ETs, or anything else that doesn't make sense, head to spacedoutradio.com and file a Sightlines report. All information you give is 100% confidential, and I will personally help you find the answers you need. SOR Sightlines, your answers are a click away.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific Northweird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guests and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Cruz and SOR.
And welcome back, everyone, to Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturday nights with me, Dave Cruz. I want to remind you, next Saturday, my guest will be Sebastian Martin, consciousness advocate, experiencer. You got to listen to Sebastian, man. Sebastian is awesome. That's all I can say, and you will definitely don't want to miss that. But coming back to tonight, I am very pleased to have with me tonight as a guest Vanessa Hogle, and remember, tomorrow night, again, Elizabeth Anglin has Psychic Sundays on Spaced Out Sunday nights, Cosmic Passport, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. Don't want to miss that again. All right. And again, Vanessa, thank you for being here tonight. It's been awesome. Great conversation. Love talking ghost. I mean, I can't express how much I'm having fun. I'm just having a great time.
Yeah, thank you. I'm having a good time too. It's flying by.
It really is. I mean, we're already in, the third round.
Exactly. And I love it because it's radio, because I can do it in my jammies.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who I don't even want to know what they're wearing. So,
yep, jammies and no makeup. So y'all be happy this is radio. That's all I got to say.
That's awesome. So we were talking about attachments.
Yeah.
And that we just touched on the experience that you had. So if you want to go back to that I'd love to hear the rest of it. But again, we don't have to get into it if it makes you uncomfortable.
No, it's okay. I mean, like I said, I wrote about it in my next book that's coming out, Walking with Ghosts. I wrote about it. I was very candid about it because people need to know. They need to know that, sometimes this really, 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 really sucks. And, and it can cause you a lot of grief and a lot of scars, a lot of emotionally and physically. And mine, when he decided to finally, I can't say when he decided to finally attach to me, he found out where I was, when I was talking to somebody else about their situation. Mm-hmm. And it was my friend Chris Loper. He and I were talking about somebody that he has literally done battle with in his dreams, just super bad all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I know what he looks like. And I drew him, because that's part of what I do is automatic drawing. I drew him and I sent it to Chris, and he's like, that's exactly what he looks like. And I said, yeah, I know. And I don't know how I knew. Again, I mean, and let me state that for the record. I don't know why or how I can do this. I make no claims to know where it comes from. I just do it. And I drew him, and ever since then, he found a new home with me. He hops between me and Chris and a few other people, and I've actually been contacted by people in England, this is no joke, who did not know. No one knew anything about this man. No one knew anything about this man except for some very close friends. And I got a friend request on Facebook from a lady, and I went ahead and accepted it. I got almost 300 on there. I still haven't even looked at because it gets a little crazy. And she messaged me within like a day, 2 days. And this is after I had really blocked this person. And the person that, you know what I'm talking about, the bad dude. And she messaged me and she says, I know you don't know me. And so I just knew what was coming. She goes, I know you don't know me, but I have somebody who won't leave me alone, who wants to talk to you. And he says you're ignoring him and you shouldn't be. And she described him perfectly.
What?
Yes. And I was like, damn. Man. Yeah. So my level of creepy, that's the highest it's went. That's high enough. I'm good. I really don't want it to get any creepier than that. And when I tell people that, I've been taken over before. I've had spirits hop in and literally have me run 18 blocks. And I wake up in a place I've never been. Yeah, it happened in New Orleans. Woke up standing right outside Marie Laveau's tomb. That would be creepy for some people. For me, that was cool. I don't mind it when they hop in and just kind of take a drive real quick, as long as they don't hurt me. This is creepy. And it's not something I would ever wish on anybody else. This has been going on. Well, he found out who I was about 2 years ago. And it's been nonstop ever since.
Right.
So, joy, right? Yay!
Right.
Sounds like a party.
Yeah. Man, I hope that oh gosh, you don't ever have to experience that, man.
I know now that this isn't the first time. He has been part and parcel of previous lives that I've had. So it just took him a while finding me this time. So I'm not getting rid of him.
Jeez.
Sucks.
So there is no way to get rid of these attachments.
No, not that attachment.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to get rid of other attachments. You know, he's a different story. He's not your run-of-the-mill, hey, this dude died and now he likes you kind of person. He's not the same thing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so, but for your regular run-of-the-mill attachment, we can all go into that. Yes, you can get rid of those.
Okay.
You absolutely get rid of those. It takes a lot of meditation, takes a lot of shielding, takes a lot of claiming your space. You have to be diligent and forceful with that. You can force something out. Sage. Don't do me. Don't be me. Okay? I'm learning. Like I said, I'm learning, my limitations there. I'm learning my biggest flaw is I can give great advice, but I don't take it. So listen, even if I don't to myself. You must cleanse after investigations. You must. Even if it's a remote view investigation. Cleanse. Please. Right. Make everybody happy. Make Mama happy now. Okay? They call me Mama V. So make Mama V happy. Okay? Mama V. Yeah, that's what my girls in England call me. Everybody else just calls me V. But yeah, it's just you have to make sure that you take care of yourself and do that. But it's easy to get an attachment. Mm-hmm. So just always be aware of what's going on around you. Be aware of again, this falls into the empathic situation because they tend to attach to empaths more than they attach to others. And I think that's because we're too busy trying to figure out what emotions are what that we don't shield quite as well. Or we do something stupid like I did for years, and that is I once I kicked that door back open, I didn't shield for the longest time because I was so afraid that I wouldn't get information, which meant I couldn't help anybody. Mm-hmm. And that's not true. The spirits want to talk to you. They'll wait. They will. They'll wait. Not everybody opens up and listens to them. So if you're one of those that do, and you just need your space for a minute, they will hang back. They'll leave you alone. They'll give you your space, but they will come back. And it took me a long time to really realize that. I thought I was doing a disservice, so I just let whatever was going to happen. And I don't recommend that. That's not a very smart way to go about it.
Yeah, I've never experienced that kind of thing, and there's so much that I'm learning tonight, and I'm hoping that a lot of our listeners are learning as well, especially with saging and smudging, that sort of thing. Where does the old school religion blessings or house prayers or that kind of thing come in? Where have you? First of all, I don't know if you're like religious or if you follow any faith that is related to like Jesus Christ or anything like that. Because what I've heard is, from what I understand, a lot of times when, let's say, the trump card, has to be pulled, it's always, the Jesus card.
Okay.
I touched on something.
I'm getting ready to throw down.
Let's go there.
Okay. I am all for whatever somebody needs to make them comfortable. I support it. I don't care if you're praising Jesus. I don't care if you're praising a pack of ketchup. I don't care if you get on your hands and knees every night and pray to that pack of ketchup. I don't care, as long as it makes you a better person. Okay? I am spiritual, not religious. I'm pagan. I'm a practicing witch. I'm real good at it. And I just am. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. But I understand the need for religion for some people when it comes to this. They need that to hold on to, and I don't begrudge them that. The only thing I ever tell people is people have been living and dying and coming back long before the written word of man, and that includes the Bible. So, I mean, there has been spirit communication since the beginning of time. It's been talked about in so many areas of the world well before organized religion. That having been said, if that is what somebody needs to give them their inner power, whether it is a Bible or a rosary or, like myself, my stones, if that's what they need in order to focus so that they can protect themselves, by all means do it. Absolutely. Do I think that any particular religion or faith is necessary? I don't. I don't believe that spirits care what our personal beliefs are when it comes to that. I'm not going to have somebody who's Jewish come to me and say, oh, well, you're pagan, so I can't talk to you. Trust me, I've talked to plenty of Jewish spirits, okay?
Sure.
But I don't think it's necessary for it to be a specific religion, but I think if it works for you, then you should do that. Whatever it takes to make you feel comfortable in your own skin, and whatever it takes to make you know that you've got something backing you, to give you that extra oomph, that extra bit of power, so that you can not allow yourself to be abused. I'm totally cool with it, but I don't think it's necessary.
So it's basically a crutch.
An aid.
Okay.
An aid. People can use it as a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
People can use any religion as a crutch to not believe.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I got a good one for you. You're going to love this. Okay, so I worked with this girl, and she was having trouble with her teenage son. And so I told her everything that I knew, and told her, in my opinion, again, I'm not an expert, but in my opinion, what I would do with the situation. Okay? And she took that, for what it was worth and blah, blah, blah. Okay. She comes back the next week after going to church and said, because she kind of wasn't vibing with it, what I was saying, because of where it was coming from. She comes back after that weekend, comes back to work the following week and said, you're not going to believe this. And I said, what? And she goes, I was talking to a lady at church about her son, because I can't say his name. And I said, yeah. And she goes, and she told me exactly what you did. And I knew where it was going because I knew. And I said, really? Really? She told you exactly? And she goes, yeah, pretty much word for word, exactly what you said. And I said, well, that's really cool. What do you think of that? And she goes, well, I believe her. And I said, really? Because I already knew. I'm not stupid. I wasn't born in a barn, And she said, yeah, I believe her because she said that was coming from God. And I said, then where was mine coming from? And she goes, well, I don't know where yours is coming from, indicating that she knew exactly where it was coming from, because apparently I'm Satan. Who knows? I am.
Satan.
We all got stuff to learn. Maybe that's me, And I said, but she said exactly what I said. And she goes, yeah, verbatim. I said, ironic that Satan would tell me to tell you the exact same thing that God would tell her to tell you. And I just turned around and walked away. Because that is what I've dealt with the whole time. Yeah, I've had people come up and ask me for readings privately. I'll do a reading, tell them everything they needed to know. They're absolutely amazed by it and be like, how did you know all that stuff? How could you know that stuff? I'm like, well, because I just do. They're like, oh, well, you must have gotten that from Satan. Oh, okay, so you wanted the reading, and now that I was right, I'm going to burn in hell for it. Oh, see, I didn't get the memo. I didn't get the memo. I didn't know that's how it worked. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what I've dealt with, this whole time. And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating because I only do what I do to help people. I literally just now, Dave, just within the last month, started charging for my readings. Mm-hmm. I've done thousands for free. Thousands.
Well, not to mention you've worked with law enforcement as well.
Exactly. I sure have, and I always tell people, you know what? I can only tell you what the cards say.
Right.
Because I read tarot. Now, if it's helping somebody.
Nice.
Yeah. If it's helping somebody find a loved one or something like that, I'm not charging a dime. If it's working with the cops, I'm not charging a dime because I can't. My soul won't let me do that. But if somebody wants me to take time away from my family, my son, and I work a full-time job, if they want me to do that to read their tarot cards, yeah, they're going to pay. And I haven't had you. Well, you Googled me. Did you find anything negative?
No.
No,
not really.
No. So, but it took me a long time to even do that because my heart wouldn't let me do it, But when you deal with that type of thing so much, you finally are just like, you know what? This is taking time away from my own family. So yeah, I'm going to do that, and I hope you like it. That's all I can do. And I expect to hear that you're going to burn in hell. I expect to hear the, oh, you're a witch. Are you going to curse me? Because no one believes in magic until you say you're going to curse them. And then, then they get scared, It's like, come
really
on.
Scared.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes ago you didn't believe in it. But now that I said, that I could do that, then you believe? But that's just how people roll. That's how their mind works. It's amazing what you can get used to, Dave. It really is.
I bet. I had to type into the Spreaker chat that you read tarot, and we got a lot of people in here who dig tarot. So
yeah. After one show on Paranormal Zone TV, after one show of not even talking about tarot, I had almost 700 messages in one night on Facebook.
Wow.
One night. Yeah. So if people try to contact me on there, I promise I'll get to you. Give me a minute. Because it got really nasty there for a while, Dave, when I couldn't get back to somebody immediately, because apparently I just sit around all day and eat bonbons. When I couldn't get to somebody immediately, I got death threats.
My God.
I got death threats on Facebook private messenger for not getting back to people because they messaged me out of the blue and wanted me to do all this stuff for them. I'm like, y'all realize at this point, when that happened, Dave, I was working 2 jobs. I was working 65 hours a week. And I'm a single mom.
Yeah, that's too much.
A little bit.
It really, and then do all this other stuff, and that's what people don't understand. I mean, having to do this one night a week, maybe 2 nights a week, and then doing a full-time job on top of that, and then family time, and then you got to do the life stuff. I mean, people need to realize it's not easy. You don't just jump into the seat, talk on a mic. I mean, some people may be able to do that, but I don't think everyone can do that.
No.
But, and to do it in a timely manner, if you're going to be there at 5 o'clock, you got to be there at 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
Because everyone's there waiting to listen to you at 5 o'clock.
Exactly. Exactly right.
So, and because you have a show too. And we haven't even touched on that. But one of the things, and I also want to discuss, your books that you've written as well. But I have a burning question, and it has to do with remote viewing.
Okie dokie.
So with remote viewing, there's been a lot of conspiracy that goes behind it. A lot of it has to do with, like a lot of this Montauk type stuff. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like super soldiers and that kind of thing. My Lab, where they recruit young people or even kids that have these abilities, or they somehow make them have these abilities so that they can remote view, or they have some kind of psychokinesis powers, whatever. Have you had to deal with anything like that where people come to you, whether it's the Men in Black, or I don't know if you want to answer that or not, but are you familiar with anything like that because of this kind of ability?
I will put it this way. I am familiar with it, and that's all I'm going to say.
That's good. That's cool.
I am familiar with it.
Now, with that said, what with your remote viewing, what have you done with it, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh well, mostly just for other teams, Mm-hmm. And for particular cases that I've worked on, a missing persons case that I worked on, for a police department. I can't go into detail on that, but that was probably one of the. I can tell you what happened. I can't tell you who I worked for. That was a really interesting case. And this is what's really weird about it. It was years ago. I was working at one of the dental offices in a different town for my company. I was there helping them out. And this fella came to me, and when I say came to me, he wasn't standing right in front of me. He was in my head, okay? And it was like a still shot, but I knew, I already knew that someone was going to be contacting me about him. Mm-hmm. And he showed himself to me in this still shot. He was very handsome. I would say he was about middle-aged black man, very handsome, wearing a yellow, one of those Izod shirts. You remember the kind with the little short sleeves and the collar?
Yes.
It was like a pale yellow. The picture was in a park setting. I could see this beautiful green tree behind him. And I had that snapshot in my head. And I got a call about an hour later from a friend of mine who was the wife of a police officer. And she called me and she goes, "Hey, Vanessa, I got a question for you." And I said, "Yeah, I've already seen him." And she says, "What?" And I explained to her what had happened. And she goes, "Okay, can you meet my husband at such and such area? They need to speak with you." Because they were having no luck in finding this person. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Absolutely," and it was really bizarre because, I was getting the information, but it was coming from, they were like 20 to 30 years apart. The information and the images that he was giving me. One was from the time when everything was all right with the world and, him in that park and happy and everything else. And then it was like 20 or 30 years later and everything was all muddled and fear and humiliation and shame and just awful. Okay. And I didn't understand why it was so different, but I wrote down everything that I needed to write down. I drew out the pictures that I needed to draw. I met with her husband and told him everything that I could. I even drew the picture of the person that I believe was responsible for him missing. And I said, I think it's his wife. And it was just a little sketch, but I said, and he's like, I don't think that's her, but I'll have to check into it. And I said, okay. And lo and behold, they found him where I said they would find him, in the position I said they would find him, and the person responsible was the woman I drew. And by the way, the reason that the information he was giving me was 20 to 30 years apart was because at the time he was missing, he had Alzheimer's. And if you know anything about Alzheimer's, your short-term memory goes, but your long-term memory stays. And I know that because that's what my grandfather died of. And he couldn't remember anybody, but he could remember my grandmother when she was younger. And she had passed years before, but all his memories of her was when she was younger. He had those long-term memories, but he didn't have the short-term. So, and I didn't know that this fella had Alzheimer's. I could not explain to anybody why he was giving me such different information. You know, one happy and one horrible. You know, but the police informed me of that, and so that made a lot of sense to me once I knew that. That was a piece of information I didn't have. Mm-hmm. They were able to put that puzzle together. So that's kind of how remote viewing goes for me. Or if I do it, you know, for people overseas with MP, when I've worked with them, they've been saying, "Hey, Vanessa, we're on our way to a location. Send us what you got." And I'll send them everything I've got. They'll get to the location that they're supposed to be going to, and they can't get in, so they change locations. Don't tell me, go to the new location, and that's what all the information pertains to, is the second location.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know what? And sometimes you're wrong. You can be wrong. It is totally okay to be wrong. Nobody is right all the time. Nobody. I've got a pretty dang good average. But like tonight, I told one of my friends, they were talking about the fight, and I said, yeah, I don't think it'll last 2 rounds. It lasted 10. So there you go. I was wrong. I was so wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's no one's right all the time, but I've got a fairly good average. You know.
Well, you know what? It probably lasted 2 rounds in another universe. So you weren't wrong. It was
true story. Oh my goodness, that's funny.
I'm just kidding. So
who knows?
Who knows? So you write about these kind of topics in your books.
My books, they're paranormal nonfiction. There is not anything in those books that isn't true. 98% of it can all be verified. Witnesses to 98% of it. My first one was Soulscapes, and that is it's a very small book. I think it's only like 85 pages. And it's automatic drawings and snippets from cases that I've worked on over 10 years. And it's, you know, in certain ones, what I could tell you, you know. I'm proud I wrote it. It's not my best book. I was going through a really bad relationship time at that point, and not a lot of support, if you know what I mean. And so I'm proud I wrote it. Don't feel the need to buy it, y'all. It's okay. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Go on to the second one. And that one is called Giving Up the Ghost. And that's my baby. That's blood, sweat, and tears went into that thing. And I basically just, you know, I told everything as much as I could for a certain period of time, from the time I was growing up, you know, and everything that happened through there and things I went through to the ending of the book at that time. And that was before I went to England. And so that book is on, well, they're both on Amazon. And then the next one, which comes out September 26th, is Walking with Ghosts. And it is, like I said, it's the unpretty version. It's, and I didn't write it in chapters. I wrote it in experiences. So that way it's easy for people. They can pick it up and they can read, you know, 6, 7, 8 pages of an experience. And they can put it down, you know, and then they don't have to feel like they've got to pick it up at the same spot. Each one stands kind of on their own. And those cover investigations and remote viewing from Virginia, England, and Scotland. So there's Mary King's Close in there. There's the dungeons. There's a really bad experiences in Virginia. There's my attachment, everything. And I left out as little as possible. And I ended the book with statements sent to me by other people who have worked with me. So, and there's the only editing I did on those was making sure that the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. Every single statement in the end of that book from the individuals, and some of them wrote pages, is all their words. None of that is from me. And the reason I did that is not only to thank them for being kind enough to let me work with them, but also to show people that, it is totally okay to be in this field and actually be thought of nicely. You can get places in this field without, I'm trying to think of the best way I can put this, without being underhanded, without stepping on anybody, without using anyone as a ladder. It's totally okay to do that, to make it without doing those things, and plus they were able, things happen when I'm on investigation, when I get taken over, that I have no memory of. So when I write about them, I'm literally writing what I've been told or what's been videotaped. And by having these witness statements in there, they can validate that for the readers. They can say, yep, absolutely, I saw that. She was laying on the floor, writhing and screaming like a banshee, because it happens. Some of this is very, very, very painful. There's a situation in the book that Gwen writes about from BPI. I have no recollection of it. All I know is they said I was, and there was like 6 witnesses to this, I'm on the ground of this farmhouse in the living room, and I've got my hands covering my ears and my eyes at the same time, and screaming at the top of my lungs. And Gwen is, she's trying to pry my hands away from my eyes, and she gets my hands pried away from my eyes, and my eyes are changing colors. They're going yellow. And I have very green eyes that change blue every now and then. And they were yellow and red.
Red?
Yep.
And yellow?
Yep.
Now, red and yellow at the same time, or red and yellow as like yellow once and then red?
Going from yellow to red.
Oh my
and
God.
Back.
Oh my God, I've never heard that before. This is the first time I've heard this, Vanessa.
6 different witnesses to that.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
we got to talk off air about that some more. But that is a trip. Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, just, for someone who hasn't experienced it, that's just, wow. This
was the same farmhouse that these things had me, everybody, I guess, from the team and the homeowners, by the way. The homeowners stayed with us the entire time. The children were sent away because they need not be there. I had already spoken with the main child who was being affected, and all of that is on audio interview on BPI's website, on their YouTube site. You can hear the audio of it, but I'm not going to put an underage child that's not mine on camera. And you can hear the interview. And so once the interview was done, we went ahead and got the kids out of there because they need not be there. And but the homeowners stayed with us the entire time. The entire time. They were witness to absolutely everything, as they should be, because guess what? You can't really fake stuff with the homeowner sitting right there. But so the whole team and the homeowners and everything, they were on the front porch of this farmhouse. And this was after a whole bunch of crap had happened. And I'm like, okay, well, the worst has happened. So maybe I can get some rest. Everything feels better now. Everything's got to be okay now. So I went and I laid on the couch in their front room. And the last thing I remember was starting to doze off to sleep when I heard this train literally come through the living room.
Oh, man.
It was that loud. By the way, there are no trains anywhere near there.
Right.
Not anymore.
Right, of course.
But there's evidence that they were. But it was coming straight through the living room. That's the last thing I remember. I woke up in Gwen's car facing the opposite direction of where we were parked. Come to find out, apparently, I bolted out of their double front doors. I mean, literally threw both of them open and hauled Heine straight down this gravel driveway that's about 1.5 miles long in the middle of the night. Had to be tackled by an ex-Army combat veteran. I was going that fast. Literally running to my death. I have no doubt about that. I know now where they were leading me. Mm-hmm. And he tackled me, took me down in the driveway with everybody else behind him, and they had to get me in the car after they got all these things out of me. Gwen and everybody else that was standing right there said that it sounded like about 30 different people screaming.
My God.
And I'm laying on the gravel in this driveway as this is happening. And I guess they picked me up and carried me and put me in the car and drive me back because Gwen's husband had driven the car up to get me. And it wasn't long after that. That was my first investigation time in Virginia. That when I was flying back, I had feet the size of cantaloupes. I couldn't even put my shoes on. I was so abused on that first trip. And all of that's in there. And it's not just my accounts, it's all of theirs too.
God, I don't even know what to say to all that. I mean, that's...
Right?
Oh, wow.
And by the way, y'all, I'm 5'2" and I'm a little squishy. So Jackie Joyner, I am not. Okay? I am not an athlete anymore. And these things literally over Hollywood Cemetery, they have video of me sprinting barefoot across Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. Sprinting. 45 years old, little chubby, little short thing. Apparently kicked off my shoes and just hauled Heine. Have no idea why. Yeah, well, I do now because I've seen the video, but yeah. So I took the pretty out of it. There's no pretty in this book. It gives you the undiluted full story to the best of my ability, what it feels like to do this.
Well, then I guess
we're 26.
Yeah. I guess my question from the chat from Robert, he wanted to know if will the new book have drawings and photos in it for references?
Oh, thank you for saying that. Sorry, I'm freezing. I'm gonna put my blanket back on.
Sure.
It absolutely does. There's a lot. Okay.
Good.
It's a much, much, much bigger book. It has a lot of my automatic drawings in it. Some are graphic in quality. Okay, just like with the first book. I can't help it. I got to draw what they show me. So I do apologize for that. And the photography is outstanding. Not taken by me, y'all. I take a decent picture, but I have Jana Parker Klimak and Abby Thompson both with me, both amazing photographers, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I took most of the Virginia pictures, I think, along with Gwen, and I think Chris took some, but yeah, I had 2 photographers with me on the England and Scotland trip, and it was just amazing. And we have some awesome finds.
Really?
Yeah. And for people who don't like orbs, I'm sorry, but y'all gonna see some true ones. Just believe that. Oh, and heck, yeah, I'll be writing another book because I still got to cover Staten Island and Pennsylvania, and I'll be in Ireland next March. And
global.
Yeah. Got to get the stamps in the passport, hun. Got to get them. Actually, these next 7 months are kind of crazy because I'll be in New Orleans for Haunted Bourbon Paracon, October 27th, 28th, and 29th. Then I will be at in Moundsville, West Virginia, at the penitentiary, November 11th. Then, of course, there's Thanksgiving, taking my boy to go see family. And then in March, I'll be in Ireland. So, I'll be spending 9 days in Ireland. That'll be another book as well. I'm going to do a Southerners version of Haunted Ireland.
I've always wanted to go to Ireland.
You should go.
Oh, it's on the bucket list.
No, but for real. Anyone who's listening, if they want to go someplace like that, go on Google. And the only reason I can say this is because my friend Jana has used this company 3 times now. So, I mean, I can actually say, and this is who we're using, I can actually say that, they're legit. It's called Great Value Vacations. Mm-hmm. And we're getting 9 days in Ireland. We get our airline from New York to Ireland, from Ireland to New York. We get rental car, all taxes and fees, entry into the Cliffs of Moher, Ring of Kerry, a couple other places, breakfast buffet every morning, 4 different cities, 9 days, or 8 nights, 9 days, or something like that. Everything included, except for the way to get from here to New York, for $1,076.
Man.
Yes. My airline ticket to England alone was $1,500.
Oh, yeah. I'll bet.
Yep. So you don't eat out. If you don't eat fast food for 3 months, you have a trip to Ireland.
There you go.
Yep. I highly recommend it. So
I can't.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I'm going to start planning that for sure.
You should.
I will. I will. So we were talking a little bit before about remote viewing, and I did pull you up on the beforeitsnews.com.
Uh-huh.
And it has you here as remote viewing some of these old and recent murder cases. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
That was kind of yeah.
I do that. I do that for Paranormal Zone TV. Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I mean, is it okay if we talk about a couple of these?
Well, yeah.
Okay, great.
Because I don't remember what I said, because I get all that crap out of my head the second I'm done, or else I would literally be in a padded room.
Right. No, I believe that. So, all right. So you talk about actor Natalie Wood.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, for those of you who are as old as I am, you remember who Natalie Wood was and Robert Wagner before he was... I'm sorry?
He killed her.
Okay. You went right there.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yep.
So he just pushed her in the water? I mean... And, that's I'm not even going to go there. But apparently she didn't know how to swim.
No. There was also alcohol involved, so, yeah.
Mm. Wow. Premeditated. That's... Jeez.
And the thing is, it's the reason that we do those shows is we hope that it brings awareness and that people of importance will see these and look at other areas. Not long after we did the oh goodness gracious, what was her name? The little girl that did the pageants.
John Benet Ramsey.
Yeah. Not long after we did that one, it finally started. I think it may have been 2 months after we did that show. It finally started coming out. Who was more than likely involved in that, and it was who I said. It's her brother. So I mean it's interesting. All I give when we do those shows is what I'm being told in my head and what I see. And it's weird when you start to see people listening and actually looking into the cases. You know, there was one that's that's not even on the show. It's in New Jersey. There was a lady called they called her the Black Panther lady or something like that. It was a woman who was found on the side of the road, and she had a tattoo on her leg, I think of a panther. I think. I can't remember. This was years ago. But when I was writing my first book, Soulscapes, I had in there something from a vision that I'd had. And so I put that in there too, even though I didn't know what it went to. And it was a fella, and he was standing in front of this kind of dilapidated house, and there are these fresh graves next to him. And one is, you know, getting dug up, ready for another body. He's got on a baseball cap. I think he's got a beard, and it says Bud across the front of his shirt. And then behind him, there was this curved road, and it had the numbers 272 on it. And then above the house, because it's kind of weird how I do the drawings, there was this woman in shackles. And I didn't think anything of it. I put it in the book because I figured maybe somebody who reads the book will see this. Right. And they'll know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Well, it wasn't 2 weeks after I sent that book in to Mike to be published, something popped up on my Facebook feed. And it was, I want to say it was New Jersey State Police cold cases. And a picture of this woman popped up. And I said, oh, no. That I did not just see that. And I found my drawings that I had sent in with the script to Mike. And I pulled my phone out and I held the drawing up next to it. And it was the same woman that I had drawn that was in shackles. And so I contacted the New Jersey State Police and gave all of my information to one of the detectives. And I said, if you could please have whoever's in charge of cold case contact me. And they did. And I gave them everything. I sent them all of the information. Now, whatever, and all the pictures and everything. Now, whatever they did with that is on them. They were under no legal obligation to keep me, appraised of the situation. So I hope they used it. But on my own end, I continue to do research. And the girl who doesn't have a name, she never gave me her name. I never heard it. I never saw it. She was found 3 miles away from Route 272 in I think it's New Jersey, Route 272 in New Jersey. And a few miles away from that was a nursery, like plants, called Buds and Bricks Nursery.
Oh, man.
Yes. And so, I sent them that information as well. So it's like, to me, 1 might be a coincidence. 3, that's not a coincidence. That's her face. That's the route. And the guy was wearing a Buds t-shirt. Right. Not Budweiser, but Buds, like he worked for Buds and Bricks Landscaping or Nursery. So that is, that's how it kind of works. Sometimes you've got to draw out what you don't even know about. But you never know that it could actually be something. It could be something extremely important, but to you it doesn't make a damn bit of sense.
Exactly.
But that's okay. You just date it.
Yeah.
Date it. Keep records.
Wow. Vanessa, I told you we were going to have this problem. The only problem we're going to have is stopping. And man, that was such a great story. And I want to keep going, but unfortunately we're almost out of time. So before we are, I'd like for you to please let the listeners know where they can find you and your books and all your information.
Okay. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. Facebook is the best, in all honesty, to contact me on. Okay? It really is. I've got 2 pages. I have my, it's Vanessa Hogle, medium author, or author medium. and then just me, Vanessa Hogle. There's not many of us, so you're bound to find me. But Facebook is the easiest to be able to actually get in touch with me. Then I have on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, I have a show on YouTube, the Haunted Road Media channel, and that is with Mike Ricksecker, and it's called Edge of the Rabbit Hole, and we discuss all things paranormal. I've got my blog at hottamalered.blogspot.com. I haven't been able to get on there a whole lot lately, but there's like 200 blogs on there. Just go, feel free to read. I also, on my YouTube channel, under Vanessa Renee Hogle, I will go on there and do paranormal vlogs as well. Talk about all kinds of craps. Feel free to go on there and look. Comments are welcome, good or bad, don't care. My books are Soulscapes, which is the one I told y'all don't worry about. But, praise me for writing it. Yay, me. And Giving Up the Ghost. Both of those are on Amazon right now. Giving Up the Ghost spent 8 weeks in the top 10 in its genre. So I'm a little bit proud of that. And then Walking with Ghosts will be out on September 26th, unless he gets it out earlier. So I'm really excited about that one. I can't wait to see what people say.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm sorry?
I said, that's me. That's it in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Well, Vanessa, again, thank you for coming on the show. And I know it's late there. I appreciate everything. And listeners were happy. They loved you. And I do too. And we definitely need to talk more.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll do this again after I come back from Ireland.
Oh, definitely. And have fun. Yes,
I
definitely.
will.
All right.
I will.
Well, you have a good night.
You too, hon. Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Thanks again, Vanessa. That was an awesome, awesome show. And all I can say is time runs out way too fast. So, again, I want to say thanks to Vanessa Hogle. Please check out her books, check out her website, everything. Awesome show tonight. I'd like to thank Dave Scott once again. All you listeners, thank you for being here tonight. Great show. And don't forget, tomorrow night, I will be hosting my show, Beyond the Strange, 5 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, beyondthestrange.com. Also, Elizabeth Anglin, she has her show, and that is Psychic Sundays on Spaced Out Sundays Cosmic Passport. So, until then, y'all have a good night. Stay spacey. Hasta.
I built them to destroy myself. They're circling the prey. I push until I break. I feel them start to scrape. The core of all I am is chiseling away. And every speck of life is gonna rot away in time. We turn to mud, turn to stone, into grand design. A maze of petrified hearts and I'm lost inside. We all self-destruct, love is to deny. And that is life. And the clocks, they never stop, they tell.